Hey everyone. So we are now at the finale. We have done 8 solid, pretty much hours, 7 to 8 hours. We are now on part 9 with 40 pages left to go. Again, we are doing Lively's own responses now, which Wayfarer will respond to. I know this because Jen Abel responded to Stephanie Jones's. She did the same thing. She provided her supplemental responses at the end of her responses to Jen Abel's statement, and Jen Abel has filed as as part of her reply a kind of response statements to Stephanie Jones's additional responses. So okay, so yes, I am expecting that from Wayfarer. I really want to see what they. I mean, a lot of it's going to be redacted because the original stuff is redacted. I'm sure some of it will be redacted, but I really want to see them clap back at this point now and just put Lively in her place. So in the last video, she all but admitted that she practically threw Sony under the bus. Under the bus. Oh, don't, Leanne, you'll be accused of sexual harassment. She threw Sony under the bus whilst pretty much admitting that she had Sony do her bidding for her. So, okay. We continue. Abel and Tag plan to get ahead of the narrative. On July 31st, 2024, Abel texted Heath and Toskovich informing them, redacted. Abel added that her friend redacted. When a publicist tells a journalist information regardless of whether it is off the record, redacted. And then something else is redacted. On August 1st, 2024, Tag discussed a redacted. On August 2nd, 2024, Case on behalf of Tag sent Wayfarer and Baldoni a scenario planning document. The scenario planning document outlined redacted. I mean, we've seen the unredacted full version of the scenario planning document. Why is she redacting this? In that document, Tag recommended that Wayfarer redacted and outlined a number of redacted. Lots then is redacted. Please do check out my merch store. We literally have made now t-shirts about, reading these filings, and all we got was redacted. I'm gonna put them on other things as well, I think, like mugs and stuff like that. Okay. The scenario planning document also suggested that Tag redacted. Abel and Tag avoid putting in writing how they will bury Lively. After reviewing the scenario planning document, Baldoni told Abel, redacted, we know what this is. He wants to feel like she could be buried. Abel then texted Nathan that Baldoni redacted. We know what these are. We've seen the messages. Nathan sent the following messages in response. A, redacted. B, redacted. C, redacted. D, redacted. Nathan also sent Abel redacted. Do you notice that Lively is redacting all of this crap, right? But if she puts it in the New York Times, it doesn't need redacting. The next day, on August 3rd, 2024, Wayfarer executed Tag's engagement letter. On August 4th, 2024, Abel told Nathan that she was redacted. Nathan redacted and told Abel that she redacted. That same day, Case emailed Nathan the 17 protections for return to production list stating that redacted. Nathan then emailed the same to Abel and Mitchell. At this point, Baldoni's redacted to Baldoni's talent agent, Danny Greenberg. The Sony publicity team provided Baldoni extensive feedback on how to better approach interview questions during his press tour. Specifically, Sony advised Baldoni, redacted. On August 5th, 2025, I think that's a typo. Internal Sony emails discuss how in a Dallas Morning News interview, Baldoni redacted. A Sony executive noted that they redacted. Baldoni plants the seed that Lively's personality caused friction on set. Yeah, I don't think that seed was planted by Baldoni. On August 4th, 2024, Case provided press redacted the PR team, which included a statement that redacted. On August 5th, 2024, Baldoni began the film's press junket through which he began planting redacted. Specifically at 9:18 a.m., Abel reported to TAG that they had redacted. Case replied, redacted. A Sony representative texted Abel requesting that Baldoni not redacted. Just over an hour later, Mr. Baldoni repeated redacted narrative in his Cosmo UK interview in which he redacted. Sony's representative then texted Abel again, redacted. Abel conveyed Sony's message to Baldoni, redacted. Within a week, dozens of news articles quoted Baldoni's statements identifying friction on set. And then there's a bunch of news headlines attached, links. I mean, the film's director and co-lead saying that there was friction on set. I don't know if that's true or not, but if it is, that's hardly a smear campaign. Baldoni also spoke in interviews about redacted. As the film premiered with massive success, defendants launched a social combat plan against Lively with the help of a digital fixer. That'd be Jed Wallace. Okay. Wayfarer and Baldoni hired Jed Wallace. In 2008, Wallace founded Street Relations, for which is the sole director and officer. Wallace specializes in redacted. Case described Wallace as a redacted with whom TAG would work redacted. On August 5th, 2024, Nathan sent Heath and Abel a text message setting forth the redacted. And then there's a bunch of stuff that's redacted. Redacted in Nathan's text message was for redacted. Nathan wrote redacted. Nathan wrote redacted. Also on August 5th, 2024, Nathan emailed Wallace redacted. On August 6th, 2024, the US premiere of It Ends With Us film took place in New York. At the premiere, redacted. Greenberg, on August 9th, 2024, Greenberg texted Giannetti, redacted. Greenberg texted Whitesell that he redacted. On August 6th, a TAG intern flagged a social media comment that read redacted and noted that redacted. Case replied redacted and redacted. On August 7th, 2024, Nathan and Abel agreed that Baldoni and redacted and that Nathan would call Heath to redacted. Later that day, Case sent Heath and Abel an email with the subject line Social Digital Mitigation / Remediation, which set out the scope of work for the digital team. The proposal outlined redacted that the digital team would redacted, including, among other things, and everything is redacted. Citing the concern of redacted. I may have said this once or twice. I really think that all of these redactions are not entirely necessary. Wallace and TAG have sent similar scopes of work to other prospective clients. For example, in a scope of work prepared by TAG and Wallace, redacted, Wallace offers for redacted. The The scope of work further described that redacted as well as redacted. Wallace offered to redacted. In emails and text messages with current or prospective clients, Wallace often describes his capabilities in the digital space as A. Redacted, B. Redacted, C. Redacted, D. Redacted, E. Redacted, F. Redacted, G. Redacted. I hope this is all helpful. I wouldn't want to waste my time here. Again, just to clarify, I will do a video or a small short series of videos going over specifically the redacted points and making notes of what's redacted and what's not. Okay. In the 5 or 6 years that Nathan and Wallace have known each other, they have worked together frequently, including redacted and build digital redacted. Favor. Okay. On August 7th, 2024, redacted. Baldoni and Wayfarer, with help from Wallace, get to work manipulating media narratives and causing an onslaught of hate toward Lively, Hoover, Slate, and Ferrer. Oh, okay. So there's retaliation now towards Hoover, Slate, and Ferrer as well. Well, blow me. That wasn't in her CRD or first amended complaint. I don't even recall it in her second amended complaint. On August 8th, 2025, redacted. That same day, redacted. Also that day, Baldoni redacted. Case assured Baldoni that they had redacted. Meanwhile, also on August 8th, 2024, Baldoni redacted. Toscovich wrote to redacted. Abel responded that while it was redacted, Heath replied redacted. Ferrer and Hoover continue to receive substantial public hate. I don't agree with hating on anyone, but Hoover has been incredibly two-faced and opportunistic. Ferrer, again, also being quite two-faced and opportunistic, and just the way she had a meltdown over, Wayfarer trying to serve her a subpoena was just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, she was been deposed anyway. She sat for the deposition, and yes, to answer the question, Wayfarer would have been able to question her. It wouldn't have been just Lively. So, yes. I have no doubt that Wayfarer would have said, well, why did you write this text if it was bullshit? I hope they did. So, whilst, again, I don't support anyone sending hate messages or being deliberately hateful, we can be upset and angry about this. We do not need to actually try to contact these people and, be aggressive or intimidating towards them. I wouldn't go as far as to say that the backlash has been, there hasn't been, it's not warranted to a degree. It is warranted. The film was released to the public in theatres on August 9th, 2024. On August 9th, 2024, redacted. That same day, redacted. Also on August 9th, when a Daily Mail article reporting on the gossip was published, redacted. A lot of these exhibits have come from Jones Works, if you notice. Days later, Abel would tell a friend, redacted. When the New York Post page 6 was prepared to run an article, Miss Nathan was able to easily reach the reporter, who is also Miss Nathan's sister, and convince her to remove the most inflammatory language in the draft. On social media, one user posted a comment regarding the story redacted. Similarly, just minutes later, in response to a comment shared by a tag intern that read redacted. Later that day, Case had to redacted. Nathan texted Abel that they had redacted. Abel commented that redacted. Nathan agreed that redacted. On August 10th, 2024, redacted. Despite extraordinary box office success, Baldoni and Wayfarer continued to smear Lively in the media. Well, the success was not Blake Lively's, because she had to put back a lot of Baldoni's edits because her films did not perform well. On opening weekend, the film made more than 50 million and around 80 million internationally. Mr. Greenstein, a film marketing executive with 25 years of experience, called the film's 50 million opening why is it redacted? Giannetti called the opening redacted. Sony was thrilled with the film's performance. Well, that bit's not redacted. On August 11th, Giannetti texted Lively, redacted. That same day, Heath emailed Sony about the film's success, saying redacted. Greenstein described Lively as redacted, but I bet it's not what I would describe her as. And then again, it repeats. Greenstein described Lively as a redacted. Why? Sachs had described Lively's cut as redacted. She wrote redacted. On August 10th, 2024, Abel reached out to the tag team, noting that it redacted. Miss Case responded redacted. On August 13th, Coslow orchestrated the placement of an article in the Daily Mail UK. Coslow first texted Case bullet points for a redacted. Case responded redacted. Later that day, Coslow texted Nathan redacted. On August 20th, 2024, the Daily Mail published an article that reported this should be the crowning moment of Blake Lively's career. Lively's launch of her new film, It Ends With Us, has been an unmitigated disaster. The article also reported Lively has come under fire for aggressively marketing her personal projects. You did! Not just her hair care, but her drinks company. You did! Seemingly on the back of a film dealing with domestic violence. Tell me what is not true about that. That's not a smear campaign. That's the truth. And the reason that was written is because the marketing was a public thing. That doesn't need Justin Baldoni to get Jed Wallace to do some kind of, put together a bot army to give a story like that to the Daily Mail. Everyone, I saw that and did not like it. It's in my motion to quash. Okay. On October 13th, 2024, redacted. The links were to redacted. On August 14th, redacted, Daily Mail article entitled Hollywood Villain, which branded Lively a mean girl in light of a 2016 interview with journalist Shusty Fla, in which Fla attempted to congratulate Lively on her recent pregnancy news by referring to Lively's little bump. Okay, she concedes that Fla was trying to congratulate her. On August 15th, 2024, redacted. That same day, Case emailed redacted. On August 17th, 2024, the Daily Mail published the article, which incorporated the links Case had provided and reported that, according to an insider, Blake is trying to get Taylor to help pull her out of this mess by using their friendship for interviews and other promotional work directly related to the film, amid the current backlash that she is getting, and that Lively laughed at the concept of making herself available to domestic violence survivors. You did! We have now seen that interview over and over again, the location share one. You did! It further reported, the source told Daily Mail that Blake thinks she's getting set up by people around Justin so he doesn't have to come clean about his behavior on set. You did the interview. The words come out of your mouth. The fact that you made yourself look like a jackass is not Justin Baldoni's fault. Instead of cementing her as a movie star, it has served only to show how out of touch she is. Yes, it did. And I take issue with the term star. On August 15th, 2024, Coslow redacted. Again, Miss Coslow focused on the fact that redacted. On August 27th, Variety published the article which claimed that Reynolds' involvement in It Ends With Us raises WGA issues. Again, that was Blake Lively saying, my husband wrote the rooftop scene. So people started calling him a scab. Because the Writers' Guild, of which he's a member, was on strike. Allegedly. But it's not just that, right? And I don't even think it's that it was on strike, because I'm not sure it was, because this was in April before the strikes. But it raises issues that, someone who has no business writing scripts or rewriting them, basically, erasing someone else's work, inserting your own with no authority to do so, no consent, and not even knowledge of the people who are actively, working on the film. That should raise issues. On August 18th, 2024, Baldoni asked Tag, redacted. Abel responded, redacted, and Coslow replied that they redacted. For fuck's sake. Not long to go, people. Bear with. Later that day, Baldoni noted, redacted. Nathan responded, redacted. Baldoni responded simply with, redacted. Between August and October 2024, Wayfarer would redacted. Well, we get into October now, so is she going to raise Van Zandt? While the tag team would communicate with each other over ordinary text messaging applications, redacted. Indeed, in initial conversation with Heath, redacted. In the weeks after the film was released, however, redacted. And then more redactions. Steve Sarowitz's comments, yay! I wondered if they would make it in here. Yes, Sarowitz decides to go after and ruin the lives of Lively and Reynolds. Are you fucking shitting me? I'm really getting annoyed now, because we've now all heard that. We have all heard that illegal recording. I cannot believe she is still trying to spin this. On August 29th, Sarowitz had a Zoom conversation with, we know it's Claire Ayub, during which Sarowitz said that he had been on the set of the film and that redacted, that if Lively and Reynolds redacted, that he would protect Wayfarer, redacted. Yes, he would protect Wayfarer. It doesn't need anything else after that. That's what he said. That Wayfarer, redacted. Sarowitz considers redacted. On May 28, 2023, Baldoni redacted. Sarowitz was aware, redacted. Sarowitz was aware, redacted. Sarowitz was aware, redacted. On May 16th, 2024, Sarowitz received, redacted. Right, 19 pages to go. Baldoni discussed going through redacted. By August 14th, 2024, Sarowitz was aware, redacted. Sarowitz, redacted. Sarowitz was in touch with, redacted. On January 2nd, 2025, Sarowitz emailed, redacted. On January 5th, 2025, Sarowitz provided, redacted. On January 6th, 2025, redacted. And I'm assuming that where 2025 is used here, it is right. It's not a typo because it's used multiple times. But also, she was allowed discovery up until the 18th of February when she amended her first complaint. So it's quite feasible that this is discovery she obtained that would have included that period. From May 1st, 2024 through July 2025, TAG communicated with individuals who seed, generate, create, or influence social media content or provide related digital services, including Billy Bush, Andy Signal of Popcorn Planet, Candace Owens, Perez Hilton, and Sage Steele. Right. Andy and Perez seed, generate, create, or influence social media content. I mean, I don't love. I think it's because she has used that term, like that sentence, so negatively when she talks about Jed Wallace. I'm like, it sounds like she's saying something, crappy here, but I guess she's not. It's just a long-winded way of saying they are, journalists / content creators. Okay. Nathan told Perez Hilton that he was in her circle of BF trust. Well, she also referred to him as a troll in another text to Jan Abel. So, which one is it? From May 1st, 2024 through June or July 2025, Abel and Tag communicated with more than 24 media outlets, including the Daily Mail, People, Us Weekly, and De Moi, regarding Ms. Lively or Mr. Reynolds. I mean, they were doing PR for Wayfarer. Wayfarer was producing a movie. They couldn't not do PR that it did include the female lead actress of the film. They were going to obviously be questioned about it. That does not mean it's a smear campaign. It's not anything that's out of the ordinary or abnormal. And I haven't actually seen anything negative. I've seen Lively claim that there's negative stuff, but I haven't actually seen anything negative. By August 2024, negative sentiment, here we go, regarding Miss Lively and positive sentiment about Mr. Baldoni had dramatically increased in online discourse. Well, yes, because stuff was resurfacing, like Shusty's video. By far and away, that was not the only video, and it was certainly did not resurface for the purpose of smearing Lively, as Lively herself is undisputed. But that was just one of many old interviews that was coming back to haunt her. That's what happened in August, and that's why there was negative sentiment. That and her awful marketing. I mean, I don't know why she just doesn't throw in the towel and say, do you know what, I was out of line. I think people might, I don't know if the public would support her again after all of this, but it's possible. On January 17th, 2025, Sauritz texted Abel and Nathan stating, redacted, in response to Nathan sharing several links of content regarding redacted. In response to Lively's CRD complaint, defendants continued their retaliatory campaign with a baseless lawsuit and defamatory statements. On December 20th, 2024, Lively filed an administrative complaint with the California Civil Rights Department, naming as defendants Wayfarer, Justin Baldoni, Jamie Heath, Steve Sauritz, Melissa Nathan, the agency group, Jennifer Abel and her company RWA Communications, and Jed Wallace and his company Street Relations. The CRD complaint alleged that Lively and others were subject to sexual harassment and other misconduct by Baldoni and Heath on the set of the film, that Lively's complaints about sexual harassment and other misconduct were not investigated during production of the film, and that the defendants worked together to retaliate against her by engaging in a multi-tiered plan that Mr. Baldoni and his team described as social manipulation designed to destroy Miss Lively's reputation. I think we're skipping over Van Zandt. She's already had to address it once and admit everything, so, That day, the CRD issued an immediate right to sue letter pursuant to Government Code, Section 12965B. Lively privately sent the CRD complaint to defendants along with a cease and desist letter. Before the CRD complaint had been published or reported, defendants leaked it, along with a statement from defendants' counsel Brian Friedman to a variety of news outlets. Well, how is it a leak if Friedman also gave them a statement? A leak suggests that, it's like covert. It sounds like they handed it to news outlets to get ahead of the story that they knew was coming from the New York Times. How is it any different to Lively leaking it months in advance, by the way? Okay, so that includes TMZ, Variety, E! News. Okay. She's alleging that, but she hasn't actually provided any she hasn't actually provided any evidence of that. She's just saying it was leaked by them. Could have easily been leaked by Lively, by which point they had Friedman's statement themselves. The New York Times had Friedman's statement. And I have no doubt it was probably shared with someone from Lively's team, Leslie Sloan. On December 21st, 2024, Friedman published a statement to the New York Times on behalf of Baldoni, Heath, Sauritz, Abel, Nathan, and Wallace regarding the CRD complaint which Miss Abel had provided. It said, "It is shameful." I'm not going to read all that actually because we've already read it. I'm not going to reread Friedman's statements. I don't like how she characterizes them anyway, but we have all heard them. On December 23rd, 2024, Counsel for Lively sent Friedman a letter reminding him of his ethical obligations, notifying him that he defamed and engaged in further unlawful retaliation against Miss Lively, demanding that he immediately cease and desist from making further defamatory and retaliatory statements relating to Miss Lively. He defended his client. Just to clarify that. The letter further explained that his December 21st statement to the New York Times constituted defamation per se, as it implied that Miss Lively has made knowingly false factual allegations in a verified pleading to a state administrative agency, which, if true, would be a crime under California state law. Okay, then it's a crime. You committed a crime. Oh, right. Okay. On December 30th, 2024, Lively amended her CRD complaint to specially identify "It ends with us" as a respondent. The CRD issued a notice of amended complaint, which states the original notice of case closure and right to sue issued in this case remains the only such notice provided by the CRD. Lively received a dismissal and notice of right to sue from the EEOC as to Wayfarer and It Ends With Us from the EEOC on January 21st. Lively served defendants with the notice of amended CRD complaint, the EEOC notices, and the CRD notice and right to sue on February 15th, 2025 by certified mail. By December 30th, 2024, Wayfarer and all the defendants all jointly retained the legal services of Friedman's firm. Wayfarer arranged to pay the legal fees for all defendants as well as third-party witnesses, Case, Coslow, and Hanks. On December 31st, 2024, Lively filed her complaint in the present action in District Court for Southern District of New York. That same day, Friedman filed a lawsuit against the New York Times in California State Court on behalf of certain of his clients, alleging that an article published by the New York Times regarding the CRD complaint defamed them under California law. On January 2nd, 2025, Sauritz texted his friend Rainn Wilson regarding news coverage of Lively's legal actions and the California state lawsuit. We're not going to redact that then. Sauritz told Wilson that redacted. The California state lawsuit is redacted. Defendants and Friedman recruit content creators to place strategic anti-Lively content. On January 3rd, 2025, Friedman started a group text with Sage Steele, an online content creator, and his former client, and Sauritz, Baldoni, Heath, Abel, Nathan, and other attorneys, explaining that redacted. On the same day, Abel redacted with Steele. The talking points advise that the goal of the video is to establish that Miss Lively's claims of sexual harassment on set are. It's redacted, but I'll bet everything I have that says false. B is redacted. C, the Wayfarer party is redacted. D, redacted. E, redacted. G, redacted. On the same day, Nathan reached out to Rosa Calantari of the Skyline Agency, including Wallace, Abel, and Friedman on the correspondence. Nathan instructed Calantari redacted. On January 5th, 2025, Steele provided Sauritz, Baldoni, Heath, Abel, Nathan, Friedman, and other attorneys with a first take of her video. Sauritz replied that it was redacted. Heath, Abel, and their attorneys provided additional feedback on the contents of the draft video by Steele. For example, Heath advised her redacted. On January 7th, 2025, Steele published a video titled Shame on Blake Lively, in which she makes the following statements. I think that what's happening between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni is just wrong, and as a woman and a journalist, I can't stay silent about it anymore. Right, well, that's her opinion. The more you dig, the more you realize Blake has been creating her own bad PR issues on her own for years. Well, again, that's truth. The bad press began after old interviews of Blake resurfaced, videos that were not a good look for Blake Lively. They were unflattering to say the least. Did you see the interview with Shesty Fleur? Again, true. Blake invited Justin into the trailer so they could continue working while she was pumping and nursing. True, we've seen the text. Here's the truth. Blake is the one who initiated the conversation about the wardrobe needing to be much sexier. That's what was in the text. True. Justin, he's not just the co-star, he's the director of this film, so he provided creative input while on the set. That's his job. True. I tried to take a step back and think about Justin and how he chose to handle this whole thing by taking the high road. I admit that I don't know what I could have done. I don't know that I could have done it the way that he's done it. In some ways, it was to his detriment during the production of the film, and he just kept taking the high road with her. Again, I agree with that as well. There's times I wish he'd said no more and really stood his ground. G, it's so disappointing because it ends up hurting other women. This discredits women who are actual victims of sexual harassment. True. H, other women are being hurt because of these claims. True. That same day, Friedman appeared for an interview with former client Megyn Kelly and said, the concern really is that she used these allegations of sexual harassment and she used these allegations of bullying to try and leverage her position so she could be the de facto director in the case. Again, true. Defendants filed their retaliatory lawsuit and continued defaming Lively in the press. We have 10 pages left, people. Yay. Yeah, we'll do it. Okay. Okay, so on January 16, 2025, the Wayfarer parties filed a complaint against Lively, Reynolds, Sloan, and Vision PR. The Wayfarer action complaint brought claims of civil extortion, defamation, false light, invasion of privacy, breach of implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing, intentional interference with contractual relations, intentional interference with prospective economic advantage. Oh, sorry. I hiccuped. Intentional interference with prospective economic advantage and negligent interference with prospective economic advantage, seeking at least $400 million in damages. That same day, Ms. Nathan and Mr. Friedman worked with their redacted People magazine to place at least 8 articles which were favourable to Mr. Baldoni. The articles published that day, which were sent directly to Friedman and Nathan by Rosa, included ones which reported that The articles published that day, which were sent directly to Friedman and Nathan by Rosa, included ones that reported that Lively had compared herself to the Game of Thrones character Khaleesi and referred to Reynolds and Swift as her dragons. She had. Is this the smear campaign? They're spreading true stories. Besides which, I'm not entirely sure that they planted it because it was in their publicly available complaint, First Amendment complaint. God's sake. No, not the first one. This was in the original complaint. I mean, it also appeared in their First Amendment, but this is not planting stories. B. Lively attempted to use Swift and Reynolds to pressure Baldoni into accepting a rewrite of a key scene in the script. You did. Lively never read the book on which the film is based prior to making the film. Shall we all say it together, everyone? You didn't read the book. D. Lively joked about Baldoni's nose and told him that he should get plastic surgery. Again, we saw the video and heard the audio that went with it. E. Lively named an after-party drink after the film's abuse. You did! And F. Lively pressured Miss Farah to shun Lively. Again, I think that's true too. That was a massive pivot from Isabella Farah from what she originally said about Justin Baldoni to what she said after spending, time with Lively at Book Bonanza. Okay. On January 18th, 2025, Friedman made a statement to Deadline claiming, after my clients filed a comprehensive lawsuit packed with almost 200 pages of undeniable facts and documentary evidence, which crushed their false allegations of a smear campaign by providing doctored communications to the New York Times, Blake and her legal team have just one heinous pivot left, and that is to double down on the revoltingly false sexual allegations against Mr. Baldoni. I am not going to keep reading Friedman's statements. On January 21st, 2024, the defendants provided raw video footage of the dance scene, along with an approved statement to media outlets and content creators. Again, this is not a smear campaign. It's defense. The dance scene footage was shared by defendants to the Daily Mail, TMZ, Entertainment Tonight, Popcorn Planet, and Perez Hilton. And then she cites all of the content that was created as a result. I mean, it proves that Blake Lively was lying is the theme of all of those headlines, and that's exactly what it did. She made the allegation initially in the CRD. The allegation was not what she said it was. They responded with, here's the video. Decide for yourselves. And we all decided that she was lying. While discussing the dancing footage with Alison Boshoff at the Daily Mail, Miss Nathan exclaimed, redacted. Now, Nathan celebrated with her sister, a reporter at page 6, that the dance scene footage was redacted. On January 21st, 2025, Lively asked the court to enter a protective order pursuant to Rule 3.6. Yes, because the truth was starting to damage her claims. To the near daily character assassination of Lively. It's not character assassination. In response, Nathan provided People.com with a quote, redacted. On January 23rd, 2025, Friedman filed motion for pro hac vice with certificate of good standing. Then there's more Friedman statements. On the 31st of January, defendants filed the first amended complaint. And they launched a website, thelawsuitinfo.com, which contained Wayfarer's amended complaint and their Exhibit A timeline of relevant events. On June 9th, 2025, the court dismissed the defendant's lawsuit in full. Mr. Friedman killed stories unfavorable to his clients and continued to defame Ms. Lively. Friedman brought evidence and put it out in the public, yes. Let the public decide, yes. That's not defamation. On December 23rd, 2024, Friedman emailed an NBC reporter in response to a possible connection between TAG and the Amber Heard smear campaign by stating, redacted. On February 5th, 2025, Friedman emailed another NBC reporter in connection with an article that stated the court barred Justin Baldoni's attorney, Brian Friedman, from deposing Blake Lively by stating, redacted. I mean, he did end up deposing her. She tried to get out of that, but in the end, he did depose her. During a conversation between Friedman and redacted counsel on February 6th, that Nathan described in a text message, redacted. On February 7th, 2025, redacted of the Hollywood Reporter emailed Friedman, redacted. On February 11th, 2025, Friedman responded to Gary Baum, stating, redacted. Friedman continued, redacted. Ms. Lively suffered damages as a result of the conduct. Following the success of the film, Lively was on track to command, redacted. Since the film's release, Lively suffered, redacted. The income derived from her businesses, Blake Brown and Betty Boo's, suffered as well. Well, you've had free marketing, in fairness. You piggybacked. Both brands are built around Lively, and their success depends on her acting as their face, as the painstakingly prepared company financial projections reflect. After the retaliation, Lively could not publicly promote the businesses, and the onslaught of negative commentary forced the brands to suspend social media activities in the immediate aftermath of the film's release. Right, people got pissed off with you because you were caught lying. Because the evidence from Wayfarer proved that what you were saying was not true. That's why people got pissed. See, this is what she did. This is exactly a, quote unquote smear campaign version 2. The same as what happened last year. All it was is people got annoyed, and then Lively's like, well, it's all their fault. Despite the prior success of the Blake Brown and Betty Boo's, sales of both brands declined significantly as a result of disruptions in marketing strategy, erosion of brand equity, and a sharp decline in sales performance in the aftermath of defendants' retaliation. Well, I also saw people doing like TikToks and YouTube videos, like hairdressers and things, who were actually trying her hair care products and reviewing them, and they did terribly. We have expert opinions. Professor Aaron Carlotta, a professor at computer science at Tulane University, reviewed the posts and platforms discussed in defendants' text messages and found redacted. Indicia of a digital campaign to manipulate online discussion of Lively is reflected in redacted. TikTok video comments in August 2024 reflected a redacted. During August 2024, the subreddit thread Faux Moi reflected redacted. Dr. Dina Maislin, the Robert E. Brooker Chair in Marketing at the Marshall School of Management and the University of Southern California, was asked to evaluate redacted. In conducting her analysis, Dr. Maislin observed redacted. Dr. Maislin also redacted. Her analysis confirmed that redacted. More specifically, her assessment redacted. For fuck's sake. Why is all this redacted? Okay, last but one page. Professor Ashley Humphreys, a professor of integrated marketing and communications at Medill School of Journalism and professor of marketing at the Kellogg School of Management at Northwestern University, analyzed the impact to Lively's reputation from the retaliation campaign. Redacted. Dr. Humphreys observed that redacted congruent with the alleged retaliation campaign. Next point is redacted, so is the next one, and so is the next one, and then I believe, yeah, that appears to be the end of it. Thank God. Right, okay, thank you everyone for sitting through all 9 hours of that with me. I will be back tomorrow with the Lively and Jones Works, the Wayfarer and Able replies to Lively and Jones Works oppositions to the conditional summary judgment and the standard ordinary summary judgment. All right, good night, guys.